Thank you very much. And I was about to say good morning. I never get to say good afternoon, but here we are. It's just seconds into the afternoon. And welcome to our occasional webcast that we call later on Sunday morning. Thanks to those of you who are joining us here on the Sunday morning set. This, in case you haven't been here before, is where we do it. This is where this is my office. this is where we put the show together and put it literally together, and there's many little pieces. And so we're not. This may not be the biggest group that ever assembled, but it can't be anything but pretty close to that, because as you can see, it's not a huge studio. With the news as it has been this morning, and we devoted a great deal of our broadcast this morning to talking about what's happened in Japan, you have to realize that whatever our financial distress may be at this particular time, it fades to insignificance compared to the pain and the suffering that people are going through over there, going through it right now, and in other parts of the world too. The things that have been going on in Libya and elsewhere in the world. We're still pretty lucky people to have, for us, it's only money, and these people are losing homes, they're losing families, they're losing their lives, and our hearts go out to them. But it also, I think, gives us an opportunity to put in a little bit of perspective the sorts of things we're going to be talking about today. For quite some time now, a lot of mistakes have been made and bad decisions have been made, and you can point any direction you want, whether it's the government or the banks or other financial institutions, or us as individuals. We've all done some things that, looking back, now we have to realize that they're unsustainable, and so some things are going to have to be done differently, and we can't just point fingers to somebody else. We're going to have to make those decisions. Nobody in America has helped more people to make the right financial decisions than Suze Orman. On television and in her many books, of which I see you all have the latest one, The Money Class. She has sort of led people by the hand, used her gifts for explaining things clearly to help people to do what needs to be done. Millions of people have been helped already, and I think at this particular time, as we're sort of in the bind that we find ourselves in, no matter what stage of life. I think that Suze said on the broadcast, on the main broadcast that we did this morning, that an ideal time for retirement is 67. Well, I'm 78, and I'm not there yet. I can tell you, I'm not ready to cash in my chips at all, such chips as there may be, and nobody could possibly be better to ask questions on this subject and pick the brains of Suze Orman than our own Adeney Mason, who is our senior business correspondent. And whenever we do the business and economics broadcast, which we do once a year, they give me the Sunday off, because that's Adeney Mason's department. It's my pleasure and my honor to introduce Adeney Mason and Suze Orman.
Charlie. Morning, everybody. You got what you need,
yeah, I'm good.
water-wise?
So I don't mean to take over right away, but it's my style. One correction, right? In the book, it says don't retire until you are 67. But if it were up to me, I hope we're still seeing you when you are 107, sir.
Thank you all for being here this afternoon. Thank everybody out there on the web for being with us this afternoon. It still feels like this morning to me, and thank you especially for coming after losing an extra hour of sleep. As Charlie mentioned, Suze is now on, this is book 10? Book 10. 8 straight New York Times bestsellers, 7 PBS specials. your own show on CNBC called, of course, The Suze Orman Show, twice named one of Time Magazine's Time 100 list of the world's most influential people. Pretty remarkable.
Thank you.
Pretty remarkable.
My mother still doesn't believe it.
Well, we spend our whole lives trying to persuade our mothers, right?
We actually do.
Charlie mentioned some of the things you said this morning, and I was struck. You sort of snuck a line in right at the beginning of your essay this morning in which you said, I'm kind of a little bit optimistic as to what the economy holds.
Yeah, that's because I didn't want to be on national television, truthfully, as cautious and pessimistic as I really, really am. Because I want to be given an opportunity to be wrong. I'd like to be wrong on how I feel. I want everything to turn around. I want the banks to be backing you. I want real estate to come up. I want jobs to come back. I just don't think we're going to see it. I'm so sorry to say.
You don't think we're going to see jobs come back?
I don't think we're going to see, we've lost approximately 20 million jobs. A lot of those jobs, truthfully, don't have to come back because the corporations have very well learned how to do without those people. There's a little word known as productivity. If you don't know what that word means, it's very simple. These corporations can be as productive without these people as they were with these people. The computer, the smartphone, everything has replaced a lot of people and the need to have those people. So I'm very afraid that the jobs are not going to come back in the way that we think. We need money to create new areas that they should get into, but we don't really have that money to do that. Real estate, what is going to make real estate come back? The only reason real estate comes back is when you have people who have jobs that can apply for a mortgage, they're given a mortgage, and you have more demand than you do supply. We have far more supply, so we're throwing money at a problem, we're not solving the problem. And I don't think next year is going to be a great year, I'm sorry to say again, for the stock market. So I think we still have problems. But then I've been saying this for a while, that I thought it would be till at least 2015 until we even saw a glimmer of hope.
The subtitle of your book is Learn to Create Your New American Dream, which of course implies that the old American dream is effectively dead? That is
what I say in this book. Now, why do I say that? First, let's talk about what the old American dream happened to be. And I'm not talking about the dream of just simply of our parents' and grandparents' time, where it was you work hard, you get a house, you have retirement, you have a pension. That dream turned into bigger, better, more, more. Give me a bigger house even though I had no money down. Give me 3 cars even though I'm a single person and whatever. Let me lease them all. More jewelry, more clothes, more vacations, more this, more that. And we actually lost the value of defining ourselves by who we are. We got into this so-called American dream by defining us by the things that we had around us. And we were passing that message down to our kids. Designer jeans, designer clothes, 7-year-olds calling up the Suze Orman Show saying, can I buy a $120 pair of True Religion jeans? I don't even know what True Religion jeans are. And she did not think it was absurd to spend $120 on a pair of jeans, and she was a 7-year-old. Can you just give me a break? So that dream came to a halt when in 2008, everything came tumbling down. So it's actually a very positive message in this book, that the old American dream that was false, fake, and unrealistic has died.
You're talking really about sort of returning to our grandparents' American dream, the original American dream, which is, to get some security, to get a house maybe, to work towards those things.
Yes and no. Back then, for our grandparents' time, things were very different than today. If I can, I'll just briefly compare back in the 30s and the 40s, really, 50s even. I was born in 1951. That makes me 60 in June. I look good, don't I? But truthfully, back then, here's the big difference between today. Back then, average life expectancy was 62. Do you know that they didn't even think we were going to live long enough to collect Social Security when they set the Social Security age at 65? Today, average life expectancy is to 85 or 90. And so we're going to spend more years living in retirement than we ever did working. Big difference. Back then, you retired and a corporation gave you a pension, paid for your health benefits, really made sure that you were okay for the rest of your lives, and Social Security was also adequate as well. Today, you're retiring without a pension. Even if you do have a pension, it may go away given what's happening. Health benefits, you pay for them yourselves. Cost of everything is skyrocketing. So Social Security, even though it's there, it's now being postponed. It used to be full Social Security age was 65. Right. For the majority of people now, it is 67. Obviously, many of the people in this room, it still will be 65 or 66.
And it's likely to go up.
It's likely to go up for our younger children to age 70. The cost of education back then was affordable. The cost of education today is out of sight. So many things are different. So the new American dream is this. The new American dream is to be honest, to stand in your truth, to have integrity, to define yourself by who you are versus what you do and the things that you have around you. The new American dream may just be renting for the rest of your life rather than buying a home. Because there is nothing wrong with renting if that's all you can afford. So the new American dream is not based anymore on the things that you have accumulated for yourself. The money and no, it's based on, can you sleep at night? Do you feel good about your values? Are you at least making a living and doing what you should do? And just striving to be happy, to dream to be happy versus rich, successful, and all these things which may not be able to be true for many people now.
And the other thing that the point you make, obviously, is we have to do it more ourselves than ever before. Yes. But also, you've got a lot of folks now who are in deeper circumstances than they've ever been before. I mean, you're not only getting less help, but this recession set a lot of people back.
Yeah. It set the equity that people had in their homes, it set that on fire. The retirement accounts, even though we had a good year or two in the stock market, we still went down so much. You know, there's a rule of thumb. When something goes from 100 to 50, that's a 50% decline. But for something to go from 50 to 100, that's a 100% increase. So even though we're up dramatically in the stock market, we're still down from where we started. You also have, especially for retirees, a significant problem today. Let's just say you did retire. And you retired and you had $200,000 and you had invested it in a certificate of deposit at 5%. That's $10,000 a year. The $200,000 has just come due. Now you have $200,000. What are you going to do with it? If you put it into another certificate of deposit, maybe you'll get 1%, 2% if you're lucky. So we've now just gone from $10,000 a year of income to $2,000 a year of income. We're $8,000 short of the money that we needed that when we retired. Big problem because of interest rates today. What are the retirees going to do?
In that scenario, what do you do?
Here's what you do. You have to understand that if you need that $10,000 to pay your bills, and you don't have that $10,000 now, you're actually going to take it out of principal. If you take $8,000 from $100,000, now you have $92,000. $92,000 to generate income gives you even less income, so it's a catch-22. What I would be doing is this. I would be looking at, and I talk about this in great detail in the book, I would be looking at dividend-paying stocks if I had over $100,000 that paid a secure dividend. If I didn't have over $100,000 so I could diversify, I would be looking at exchange-traded funds to get my dividend. I would be there knowing that that would give me 5, 6, 7%. They're going to go down in value. They're going to go up in value. But if you know how to pick them and the dividend is secure, stop caring about if it goes down or up. Just care about, are you getting your needs covered in terms of the income that you are getting from the dividends that you are receiving?
We want to come to questions from the audience later and from some of our folks who emailed questions in. But I want to talk about you first, your situation, because you talk about finding the new American dream. You've lived your own dream.
Yes.
And it didn't come naturally to you, did it? I mean, you grew up in some pretty tough circumstances outside of Chicago.
Yeah, I didn't actually grow up outside of Chicago. I grew up in the inner city of Chicago in the hood. I was one of the few white faces in a sea of black. You know, I'm Jewish, and the entire neighborhood was white and Jewish, and as soon as one black family moved in, well, they just all left. Big mistake on their part, but that's what happened. All right. So my family, because we didn't have money, stayed. Right. So I got to live real life. Life where you should live with minorities. You all should, I got values living in that situation that my friends didn't. But
what did you see for yourself in those years? I mean, did you have any idea what you wanted to do?
Oh, yeah, I knew I was going to be a waitress. I did. That was my dream. You see, when I grew up, I had a speech impediment.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pronounce R's, S's, or T's. So words such as beautiful came out as boobital. In Horseman Elementary School, which is where I went to grammar school, they gave you these reading exams. And they sat you in the class according to your score on the reading exam. Because I couldn't speak, I couldn't read.
Right.
Because I couldn't read, when I took those exams, I always got the lowest grade in the entire class. So Miss Orman here sat in the 6th row, in the 6th seat, when Leslie, Mimi, and Andy, my best friends, were in the 1st row, in the first 3 seats. So I knew I was dumb. I knew I was never going to be anything, so why should I try? My mom was a secretary back then.
What did she say to you?
My poor mama, she's 96, she's, in
awesome.
April, she's still alive. And she was so trying to keep the family together, because back then women didn't work. Yeah. But my dad had one illness, and he was caught in a fire, and one catastrophe and failure after another. So my mom had to go back to work full-time. On the side, she was an Avon representative. And if it wasn't for my mom doing that, the whole family would have fallen apart. So Mommy didn't have enough time to think about what should her daughter be doing and how does her daughter feel when my mother was trying to keep things together, because my father was in the hospital most of the time. Right. So nobody had time to think about me. But that was okay, because that allowed me to think for myself. And my decision was I was just going to be a waitress. So to make a long story short, after 1973, I went to 4 years to the University of Illinois. I never got a grade above a C. I didn't do well in college. I didn't care about college. Sure. I worked my way through as working a restaurant, 2 different places. So I got in my 1974 Econoline van that my brother Bobby gave me $1,500 to buy, head out to California, live on the streets in that van for 3 or 4 months. I had $300 to my name.
You were sleeping in the van?
In the van for quite a few months. And then I landed my dream job at the Buttercut Bakery in Berkeley, California for $400 a month, which I stayed as a waitress for $400 a month for 7 years until I was 29 years old.
You must have been a pretty good waitress.
I was great. I was great.
Were you telling people what they should order then?
Actually, I was. But what was wonderful, and it was these people that I had waited on all these years that turned my life around. And again, just to make a long story short, so what happened was I wanted to open up my own restaurant because I saw how great I was doing for these people and the money I was making for them with my ideas. So I called my mom and dad, this is now 1980, and I asked them for $20,000 to open up my own restaurant. Mom says, Susie, we don't have that kind of money to our name. What are you talking about? I went into work the next day. I looked a little sad because I made my mom feel bad that she couldn't help me, because every mama wants to help their daughter. And a man by the name of Fred Hasbrook came in. He said, what's wrong, sunshine? I told him the story. He went down and sat with all the men I had been serving on all those years and came back with checks and commitments totaling $50,000.
That must have felt pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, it did. And there was a little note on a napkin that said, this is for people like you to have your dreams come true, to be paid back in 10 years at no interest if you can. And so I didn't know what to do with that money. So long story short, again, he had me go down to Merrill Lynch, put it in a money market fund till they could help me. I got a crooked broker. 3 months later, all the money was lost. I didn't know what to do. So I thought, I know, I could just be a broker. They make you broker. So I got dressed in my red and white striped Sassoon pants tucked into my white cowboy boots. I still kind of dress that way. And I went in for a job interview. They didn't know what to do with me. I was told by the manager of the office that women belong barefoot and pregnant. I would be out of there in 6 months, but that he needed to hire me. It was affirmative action. They had to hire women. There were no women working there at that
Right,
time.
right.
So I hit the thing at the right time, and I said, so how much are you going to pay me to make me pregnant? He said, $1,500 a month. I said, oh my God, even if I just work 6 months, that's like as if I'm working a year or two at the Buttercup Bakery.
Sure.
I said, I'll take it. And there you go. The rest is history.
Now, but also when you got the job, I mean, first of all, why did you feel qualified to go for that job?
I didn't feel qualified to go to that job, but the 3 months that the broker, his name was Randy, was dealing with the money, he was doing something called buying options,
Yeah.
which is the most speculative strategy that a financial advisor can use. 90% of all people who buy options lose their money. But as he was doing this, I got interested in what he was doing. And this was really the day before computers at home. So I would read the Wall Street Journal, get Barron's. Every Friday night I would watch Louis Rukeyser because I wanted to know what was he doing with this money. In 3 months, I probably learned more about the options market and how it worked than Randy. And I had already realized that what he had done, we were going to lose all the money. So I knew I was in trouble. I enjoyed it. And I knew that even though they told me I didn't have to pay the money back, I needed to pay these people money back. These people weren't rich people.
Yeah.
You know, they were salesmen. They were construction workers. And you know, I knew it was the right thing to do to pay them back. So I thought, I'm never going to pay them back as a waitress. I have to do something to make more money.
You got a job with Merrill Lynch.
Yes.
And then once you were in there, you discovered that, in fact, this guy had not been behaving properly.
Yes, there's a rule that's known as Know Your Customer rule, which
Yeah.
says you cannot invest for your client in an inappropriate manner. If your client's money needs to be conservative, you cannot risk it. So you know, he knew the money was for a restaurant. He knew that it wasn't my money.
Yeah.
So as I was reading this, I went, oh my God, he's a crook.
Right.
So I went into the manager's office,
Yeah.
the same manager that told me that I'd be out of there, and I said, sir, you have a crook that works for you. And I told him the story, and he said, Susie, that crook makes us a lot of money.
Right.
You are to go and sit back in your little cubicle, and you are not to say a word. Do
So
you hear me?
So you sued him.
Yeah.
Boy, I bet they're glad they hired you.
Yeah. They ended up being glad they hired me because I did legitimately make them a lot of money. The reason that I was able to sue them is that I went back and I started to think to myself, oh my God, all right, I'm young, you know, 30 isn't that young, but I can make this money somehow, I'll do this. But what if it was my mom? What if she had $50,000 or my aunt or you? And this guy was doing it to everybody. So I knew that I had to do what was right versus what was easy. And I went and talked to the operations manager of Merrill Lynch, and he said something very fascinating to me. He said, you know, Susie, I'll let you stay in my office. In this drawer here are all the lawsuits that we have at Merrill Lynch here that we are going to lose. Over here are all the ones we're going to win. And then he said, I'll see you later. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? So I went, all right. And I started to go through the lawsuits, just the names, you know, of them, and it was all by the same lawyer.
Right.
And I thought, oh, he's trying to tell me to hire this lawyer. So I went, I called up that lawyer, I told him the story, we did sue, but at that point then, that manager went on to somewhere else, actually a higher position, believe it or not, and a new manager came in, he saw what had happened, and he gave me all my money back plus 18% interest, so it never had to go to court.
Now, at what point did you decide you were good at advising people?
I knew I was good right away because I knew I didn't know.
And that's a strength, actually, it can be, right?
And I knew that an advisor who thinks they know because it happened to me is more dangerous when they don't know than an advisor who's willing to say, I don't know. So people would come in and they'd be assigned to me. You know, the way a broker makes their new clients is you're the broker of the day, a new person comes in, they don't have a financial advisor, and if you're the broker of the day, you get everybody who, you know, walks in the door. And these people would sit down with all this money, and I'd say to them, I have to tell you the truth. You have more money than me. I don't know what I'm doing, right? But if you like, I'll always research and I'll find out for you, but I'll tell you the truth always. And they liked that. So, and most of these people back then knew more than the brokers.
Yeah.
So they would just call me and say, buy so-and-so many shares for me of such and such stock.
Right.
And I figured, oh, if this guy did it, because he had a lot of money, I'd call all my other clients and go, you know, so-and-so just bought all this. Maybe you should too. And they'd go, well, why? And I go, I don't know why he did, but maybe we should just try it. And it worked. And so, but then over the years, I really did start to learn when to listen.
Yeah.
When the advice from the uppers, you know, Merrill Lynch would say do something if they were doing it to unload their own portfolios, and this is true not with just Merrill Lynch. They're, you know, a fine brokerage firm at that time. It was the people that, some of the people that worked for them. So it was a very fascinating thing, but over time I learned and I wanted to be good at this. And now I'm probably one of the best out there.
You got your first break because you complained to a radio show, right? That somebody said something on a radio show that was wrong?
Jim Jorgensen. So I always would listen to all the pundits because I figured I needed to learn, not just from what Merrill Lynch wanted me to know, but what from everybody was saying. So I was like this mad woman all the time. Listen to this, read this, do that, go to this seminar. If you had financial advice, I wanted to hear what you were saying, and I wanted to know if I believed you.
Right.
So I started to get very good at this investment called single premium whole life. It's very different than the whole life insurance policies out there today. It was gotten rid of in like 1988 because it was the last tax loophole that was fabulous. And I was listening to this radio show, Jim Jorgensen, and he had an expert on, so-called expert, talking about this investment. And everything he said about it was wrong. Everything. So I got mad. And I wrote a letter like this to Jim Jorgensen with outlining every single thing that this guy said was wrong. Jim Jorgensen, what a great man. He called me up and he said, all right, do you want to come on and explain this? I said, I'd be appreciative. I went on, explained it, the phones lit. And then I came back to the office on Monday. Now I had left Merrill Lynch and I now was working for Prudential Beige and in Orinda, California, and I came in and there were like 300 people who had called that wanted to come see me. So it was a big break for me. Then he started to have me on all the time. And then other people started to hear me on. Then other news people that were on television said, well, come on down and talk about this investment. This is a great investment. So I started being on TV all the time. And then it kind of went from there.
Kind of snowballed.
It did.
Look what happened.
I know. This was never planned, by the way, everybody. I swear to you it wasn't.
Let's take a couple of questions. First, from people who've emailed some things in here. And then we'll go to the audience. First, this comes from someone named Dawn, who says, my husband and I are trying to do everything right with our money. We are paying extra on the mortgage, so it'll be paid off by retirement. We max out our contributions to our 401ks. We have no credit card debt, and we have a fund to carry us for 3 to 6 months. This sounds like everything you say in your book. And still be frugal with, we have managed to save $10,000, which is presently sitting in a CD paying half of 1%. There must be something better to do with this money than that. Can you help us?
Yes, so first of all, the truth of the matter is that I have a firm rule in every book, and I've had this now for the last 3 or 4 books, 8 months of an emergency fund, not 3 to 6, because if you have 3 to 6 months, and is it okay if I talk to them now?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So if you have 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund and you've lost your job, and it's taking you 1 to 2 years to get a new job, 3 to 6 months isn't going to hold you. So the real way to do it is to have an 8-month emergency fund. As soon as you lose your job, cut down your expenses to almost nothing, because that's 8 months of expenses of while you were working, and that 8 months can last you 16 months, and you should be okay. So what Dawn needs to be doing is first making it an 8-month emergency fund, not 3 to 6. She also says in this email here, and I've never heard this email before, by the way, just so you know, that she is fully funding her 401k plan. Mistake. So what I would be doing is I would only be funding a 401k plan if and only if the employer matches your contribution. You put in $1, they give you 50 cents. That's an automatic 50% return on your money, or whatever they give you, up to the point of the match, because they go to a point where they no longer give you that money. It's usually 6% of your base pay. You would absolutely do it up to the point of the match, but after the point of the match, or if your employer does not match, you would be far better off doing a Roth IRA, which she did not say she had, than a 401k. Why? 401k plans, as you get older and you take the money out, will be taxable to you as ordinary income. We are at a tremendous deficit right now. We have loans out there right now that we're saving everybody. How are we going to pay for that money? If China decided, they own 30% of our debt, if they decided not to fund our debt anymore by buying treasury notes and treasury bills, the United States of America is in trouble. Or if they decide to start selling those off, who knows what can happen. So therefore, one of the things that could go wrong for all of you is that tax brackets actually go up across the board, regardless of what anybody says, because if we need more revenue, that's a possibility. I like to do things with what you see is what you get. What's in my retirement account at the end is what I get to take out. A Roth IRA allows you, with after-tax money, to put it into a Roth up to $5,000 a year if you're under 50, $6,000 a year if you are 50 or older. You can take any money out of a Roth IRA, regardless of your age, without any taxes or penalties at any time, as long as you're only taking out the amount of money that you originally put in. Do you all have that? So if you put in $5,000 this year, $5,000 next year, $5,000 the year after, you've put in $15,000. You were 35 when you started, you're 38 now. You can take out anything up to that $15,000 without any taxes or penalties, regardless of how long it's been in there. The $1,000, let's say it grew to $16,000 over those 3 years. It's that $1,000 that it grew that has to stay till you're 59 and a half, and it has to be open for at least 5 years. If you never need the money, after the age of 59 and a half, you can take anything and all of it out income tax free. You don't have to start making withdrawals at 70 and a half. If you leave it to your children, you can leave it to them income tax free. With a 401k, the kids get it. As they take it out, ordinary income tax. So a Roth IRA is a 10 times better way to save than a 401k. You can have a 401k and a Roth. For those of you who make more money than is eligible to allow you to do a Roth IRA, those amounts are $107,000 of adjusted gross income if you're single. If you make under that, you can fully fund a Roth IRA. That goes away once you're at $122,000. For married, filing jointly, it's at $169,000 for a full contribution if you make under that. If you're making over $179,000, that goes away. So if you are over that, you are to open up a traditional IRA, you are to make it non-deductible, and then you are to convert it to a Roth IRA, and that's how you get money into a Roth IRA, even if you are making more money than allows you to qualify for a regular one.
Okay. One more from the web. If your and this is a problem a lot of people have, if your mortgage is underwater and you're paying on time, but only have 8 to 10 years left to retirement, should you short sale your house? In this case, both spouses work, have $40,000 in a 401k, but one spouse is in jeopardy of losing their job. Credit score in the high 700s.
What they did not tell us is how much underwater they are. Yeah. And the money class actually has 4 main classes for you. It has a class on retirement, it has a class on family, it has a class on real estate, and the class, by the way, on retirement is the most extensive class around. There's at least 50,000 words in this book on retirement, so no matter where you are in your retirement, it will address it for you. And so careers, family, real estate, retirement. All right. Real estate. If you are a little bit underwater in your home, $10,000, $20,000, even $50,000, and you're going to own this home sooner than later, can you just continue to pay the mortgage and keep the house? Mm-hmm. Especially if you can afford the mortgage. If you do a short sale, you ruin your FICO score, your credit score. These guys have a great credit score.
Yes.
If you ruin your FICO score, there is a derivative of a FICO score known as your insurance risk score, which is figured the exact same way as your FICO score. You have a bad FICO score, you have a bad insurance risk score. Your car insurance premiums are based on your insurance risk score. If you do a short sale, you ruin your FICO score. Up goes your car insurance premiums. If you have a low FICO score, if you ever go to buy anything, a car, a home, the interest rates on your credit cards, totally higher interest rate than you would be paying because you have a low FICO score. Everything starts to cost you more. This person said that her husband, I believe, was in, or one of them was in risk of losing a job. If you then want to go and get a new job, employers are checking your credit reports. They also have the right to check your FICO score if they want, if you give them permission to. But if they see that you have a bad FICO score or a credit report because you did a short sale, they are not going to hire you. So they're in risk of losing a job. They do a short sale, so now they can't get a job. Landlords will not rent to you if you have a low FICO score, which they're going to get if they do a short sale, so where are they going to live? So if you're thinking about doing a short sale or a foreclosure because you're seriously underwater, what's seriously underwater? There are people in Tampa, Florida, who bought a house for $700,000, and that house is now selling for $150,000. Those are people that it does not matter. You have to do a short sale on that house. I cannot continue to spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month to keep a house that's only worth $150,000. But if you're a little bit, 5, 10, 15% underwater, you keep the house. It's just that simple. If you are going to do a short sale or a foreclosure, before you do so, if I were you, I would rent another place. I would get everything in order so that a landlord will actually rent to you before you actually screw up your FICO score.
That's good advice. I think we want to take some questions from the audience. Now, I know you filled out cards, but I think we'd like to do, if we can get a microphone, is actually get you. We got it? We're ready. Okay. We'll take them directly from you. Can we start over here?
Are you enjoying this? See, I'm not just another pretty face, am I?
Hi, Susie. My name is Mary. I'm here with my friend Connie. We're looking at retirement actually in our mid-50s. 2 questions, though. We have $10,000. We want to invest short-term, under 5 years, and we want to invest another $10,000 long-term, 10 years or more. Where can we put each of these $10,000 in this economy?
Yes. May I ask you a few questions first?
Sure.
All right. And friends or life partners?
Partners.
Partners. It's okay. Listen, I'm married. KT is back there. Right? It's all right. So here's the thing, everybody. Do you have any credit card debt?
No.
Do you have an 8-month emergency fund?
Yes.
Right. Do you have any debt on car loans or anything whatsoever?
No.
Are you fully funding your retirement accounts?
Yes.
So you have a Roth IRA and a 401k?
Yes.
Why is then this, and do you have a mortgage on a home?
No.
No, you own it outright?
Yes.
All right. Great. Now let's see if we just pass a little bit more of a few tests. Do you have a will and a trust?
Yes.
All right. Do you have everything set up so you're fine?
Yes.
Why is it that you need then $10,000 within 5 years?
Oh, we bought a vacation home that's going to be our retirement home in Florida.
All right.
And we want to pay all the expenses with this $10,000 invested.
Got it.
And plus, we also want to have the money make money in the future, so when we retire, it will pay the home itself, so we don't have to get second jobs.
The $10,000 that you need within 10 years, within 5 years, is not money that you can put in the stock market, because anything can happen at any time. Listen, we're all experiencing, thank God not firsthand, but we've all had our own experiences here in New York City, what's happening in Japan. Right? So and when that happens, look what happens to the markets over there. Anything can happen in the United States at any time that can affect the stock market. Therefore, it needs time to recover when that happens. So you never put money in the stock market with money that you physically need to take out within a 5-year period of time. Long term, though, 10 years, if you could take that money and invest it, now you don't have enough to buy individual stocks, because I have a rule of thumb that you do not put more than 5% of your assets in one stock. Therefore, for true diversification, you'd have to buy 20 stocks to own individual stocks to do something with. So that usually requires $100,000 or more. Since you're talking about $10,000, I would be looking at good exchange-traded funds that pay you a good dividend yield. You could buy one, you could buy two. There's a few out there that the SDYs, that buy the aristocrats that raise their dividends every single year. I am not suggesting that because it's gone up quite a bit right now, but they are out there. So with a little bit of research and things, you might be able to find it. Within the very first chapter of the book, or in the front of the book, it actually gives you a passcode that allows you to go to my website. You use it, you open up the classroom, and you'll see a free offer for you for 1 month to do a newsletter. I have a newsletter called The Money Navigator. Now, the truth of the matter is, while I would like you to sign up for it forever, if you just download it for free for that month, it will give you the exchange-traded funds and the mutual funds that I am liking right now. They're going to stay that way for a while, so you don't have to subscribe to it forever. You don't have to subscribe to it at all. Just get the first copy for free. Take a look at what I tell you to do. They're all high-yielding exchange-traded funds and no-load mutual funds for you to do, and the name of one mutual fund that maybe you'll be interested in. Take a look at that and use that as your guide. But again, you don't have to subscribe after that month.
And the short term, the less than 5 years?
Listen, you're just going to have to bite the dirt here with that, what's happening out there with 1 or 2%, if you can find it. And just be happy. That's all right. It's safe, it's sound, it's all right. Look for the highest rates that you can find.
Thank you.
Down the front here. I won't get to you next.
Hi, my name is Donna McGrath. It's such an honor to meet you. You've just totally changed my life.
Thank you, Donna.
I'm here with my partner, Jen. My question is, I've been out on disability for about a year from Home Depot, and I think they only take state taxes out. My question is, when I file my taxes, if I have to pay the IRS, if it's a lot of money, do they do a payment plan, or do I have to pay it all at once?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
So there, if you go to irs.gov, then they will allow you to actually, via the online, without even talking to anybody, if what you owe is under $25,000, which it will be in taxes, they allow you to set up a payment plan right there. They do it over a number of years. The main thing is just file. The big mistake people make is they don't file, they think it's okay, and then penalties start to rack up on penalties, because you have a penalty for not sending in money, a penalty for not filing, and you know, it's 1% of 20. It's very complicated, but it starts to rack up. So just, if this is a fear of yours right now, listen, class 2 in this book is stand in your truth. The new American dream is based on all of us standing in our truths, doing what we know is right 100% of the time, not saying yes when we need to be saying no. So if your fear is that the IRS is going to get you and whatever, just stand in your truth. And go to irs.gov, look at what it will be, get a CPA, whatever it is, and just deal with it. It's the fear that's getting you more than the penalty, more than what it's really going to be. So get that financial ghost out of your closet, deal with it, and you'll be okay. Are you feeling better?
Yes, yes. I'm just thrilled to be here. I just love you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think it's also true, Suze, you don't want the government to be your enemy, right? I mean, if you talk to the government, it's a lot better than if you don't talk to them.
Yeah, but want to hear something interesting? If the question were asked to me that IRS debt, student loan debt, which one is more important for you to deal with? I would actually tell you student loan debt.
Why?
I knew, do you see, I love that. Because IRS debt, if handled in a certain way, can be discharged in bankruptcy.
Okay.
Student loan debt, in most cases, never can be discharged in bankruptcy. So if you have student loan debt out there and you are deferring it or you are in forbearance, And because you can't make your payments or you have children that are doing this, oh, they are just thrilled. Because you are going from $20,000 to $40,000 to $80,000 of student loan debt, then they contact you. And they have the right to garnish Social Security checks, do all these things. You will go to your grave with student loan debt if you do not handle it correctly. So student loan debt actually can be more dangerous than IRS debt, believe it or not.
Down in front, right here, if you would, and I'll go to the back.
Hi.
Hi, are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm like nervous, excited.
You look it.
I have,
Should I come hold
question.
you?
Yes.
Come here. Come here. Oh. Okay, let's look out here. Let's look at everybody. Go on, I'll stand here and do this
Hi.
with you. Hi. Yeah.
I think I made it worse.
I'll hold this for you. Go on.
Okay. My question. I'm starting from zero. I have like a lot of credit cards.
What is your name?
Oh, I'm Shanika.
Hi, Shanika.
Yeah. So
How much in credit card debt do you have?
I had like 12. I think it was like 12,000. I had 13 credit cards. So in May it'll be my last credit card. I'm a nurse, and I have a bachelor's degree of science. And so while I was in school, I accrued a lot of debt.
All right, so you have $12,000 of credit card debt. How
Yeah.
much in student loan debt?
I don't look at it anymore. It's
This is the problem.
so.
That's what you
Yes.
want to ask me about. What should you do with your student
yes,
loan
So
debt?
now I'm done with my credit cards in
Federal
May. Should I
loans?
go to
Federal
my credit
loan-
cards next?
Wait,
No.
federal loans? First?
Sallie Mae, it's
Private
like
loans.
9%.
So we have private loan, student loan debt that you don't know how much money you have. $12,000, what were you going to say?
It's for Sallie Mae, it's about 30.
All right.
And then I have like the AES, which is like I have 2 at 6%.
so what's
and
your
2
real
at
question for me?
4%. Well, since I'm going to be finished with my credit cards, I wanted to know what to start paying next. I have a husband and 2 kids, and we currently rent. I have no 401k. I have nothing. Emergency
So
fund.
you want to live the new American dream?
Yes.
Great, I'll tell you how. You can go sit down now. You okay?
Thank you.
That wasn't so bad, was it, Shanika? All right. You didn't think I was going to go down there and do it with her, did you? You don't watch me enough. All right, here's the thing. Here's what I would tell you. First of all, congratulations. Thank you. All right? It's not as bad as you think. There are people, I'm sure, in this audience that wish they only had $12,000 of credit card debt and only $70,000 of student loan debt. So there's always somebody who has more debt than you. But we don't care. In this new American dream, we don't care what others are doing. We only care what we are doing. Because we're going to stand in our own truth. Because the reason we all got into trouble before is you were comparing to this one, and this one got 3 homes, and this one could do that, so why can't I? Because they were all financial liars. They were all doing things that they couldn't afford either, but they were able to do it, and that's a long story, but that's not what we're talking about today. Here's what I would do. As soon as your credit card debt is gone, right? In fact, even now, you need to contact, because you're in deferment.
No.
You're not. You're paying your student loans.
yes.
All right, so your number one priority would be your Sallie Mae loan. Okay. Sallie Mae is at 9%. Sallie Mae, you cannot consolidate. You are there. So you are to do your Sallie Mae loan as number one. What's your interest run on your AES?
Two are at 6%, and the rest are at 4%.
All right, so you are to line up your loans. So one was at 6% and the rest are at 4%. You are to line up your loans from highest interest rate to lowest and pay the majority on the highest interest rate. When that's gone, and pay the minimums on these other two.
so the same
When
way.
that's gone, roll the Sallie Mae, what you're paying, over to AES, then down to the other, and eventually they'll all be gone as well. Does the place that you work have a 403B?
Yes, they do. But since I've been putting all the money to my credit cards, I haven't.
Do they match your contribution?
No.
No, so we don't care about them. All right? So continue to get out of credit card debt. then focus on student loans.
Okay.
And what I'd like you to do is start a Roth IRA, even if it's for $100 or $200 a month.
Okay.
And just start investing in there and do the same thing that I told these, women over here, wherever it was, over here, of how to invest. You have the book, you have the passcode, take advantage of it.
Okay, thank you.
Right. But
Thank
I do
you.
in the book, in the family classroom, talk about student loans and what you should do and how you should handle things.
Got someone in the back, and then we'll come over to you.
Hello, Susie.
Hello.
My name is Catherine, and
Hi.
I have a question. In late 2009, I had a beacon of light credit score at 772, and I was so proud of it. My father got sick, and I had to take off from work, and I ended up with family medical leave without pay. So my philosophy was bread and butter over bling. So I paid my mortgage and held off on the credit cards. So my credit score started going down, and then I didn't have income coming in, so I was like, okay, let me negotiate with my creditors and do a settlement. Paid the settlement, like $1,000 a month to get them paid down, and saw my credit report, and they have these charge-offs on it. And when I went out of town, I tried to rent a car. Equifax said, do not rent. So I was devastated because I felt I did the honorable thing to do to care for my ailing father. I did the honorable thing to do to make a payment arrangement, and now, luckily I have a mortgage, so I don't need to apply for a loan. I own my car, so I don't have to apply for that. But I feel like I made maybe not the best decision spending my savings to the credit card companies because they hit my credit score, and I feel like they could have waited. And so I don't know now, should I continue with the money that I have to pay the credit cards off to get my credit score back up, or just say, pay me first? And so I'm at a debacle with that.
Let me tell you about FICO scores, because nobody knows more about FICO scores in the entire United States except FICO itself than I do, right? Full disclosure, I have a partnership with FICO. I have a FICO kit that I've created with them, so I know a lot about them. Here's the thing. Your FICO score does not go up when you pay off a charged-off loan at all. Once a loan is past 90 days, it has already dinged you on your FICO score, and no matter what you do with that loan, it does not have an effect. If you had a credit card that was 30 days past due, 60 days past due, 5 years past due, if you paid off the one that was 30 days past due, that will have more of an effect on your FICO score than the one that's 60 days past due. If you paid this one off 5 years past due, 0 effect on your FICO score. So this is a question of, do you take an action with money that you feel you do not have to pay off debt to raise your FICO score? No, because it's not going to raise your FICO score. However, you ethically spent that money. You ethically owe that money. So this is truthfully more of a question of a stand in the truth. You have the money, you spent that money. You therefore should pay that money, not because it is going to increase your FICO score, because it is going to increase your own self-worth about how you feel about who you are, because you did the right thing. And when you do the right thing, you feel more powerful. And when you feel more powerful, you have more energy. And when you have more energy, you attract a pay raise, you attract a job promotion, you attract people to you. When you are doing something simply for money, well, I get to keep it, screw you, creditor, it's not right. Because all of us end up paying for it on some level. Do you see what I mean? So, yes, you ruined your FICO score. But yes, you are doing the right thing. And yes, you so seriously did the right thing by taking care of your father. That may not go down in the scores of your credit, but it will certainly go down in your score of a human being and a daughter.
I think we have time for one, maybe two more. Yes, sir, over here, if we can get there.
I was hoping, did you start to get the feeling like he was more biased towards women? I kept saying, is he going to call on a man or not?
Hi, Susie. My name's Evan. We met the other day at Barnes & Noble. Very happy to see you again. I had a question.
Wait, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Right. Did you notice anything about the crowd at Barnes & Noble that night?
Well, I was at the very end, but...
But did you notice, I just have to say this because I cannot be more, out of all the things I've done, if you were to ask me what am I most proud of, I would tell you looking out into the crowd at Barnes & Noble, 600 or 700 people on the most rainy day I've ever seen in my life, the other day, the night, and seeing people from the hoods there, these rappers with their did you notice that?
I was at the very end. They almost didn't let me in. I had just gotten out of class.
I have never seen a more diverse crowd in my life, where people who you would never think even cared about money, they were there. Barnes & Noble was in shock. We had a busload of kids come in, right, African-American kids from some whatever, because their teacher wanted to see me.
Wow.
That night, I was more honored that night than I've ever been honored in my life, because this message is touching those who all of you would probably think could care less about their money. Blew my mind. Yes, Evan, go on.
Well, I'm 24 years old. I graduated from college a couple of years ago. I worked for a few years. Now I'm back in school getting my master's degree.
Did you go back to school for your master's degree because you couldn't find a job?
No, I actually had a really good job, but then there was that tunnel fiasco in New Jersey, and I wound up, things were not so good. It was a good time to go back.
All right, so wait a minute, just stick with me here for a second, because that's what we just did on the show this morning. You had a great job, then there was a fiasco, then you lost your job, then you tried to get another job, and you probably couldn't find another job.
No, I didn't lose the job. I actually left I had been meaning to go back to school. It just seemed like the right time.
All right, that's good, okay.
I wanted to do something a little bit differently anyway.
All right, so what's your question?
My question is, there's some money from my bar mitzvah, birthdays, some money that my parents gave me, when I was very young, that kind of money that has been sitting in this Uniform Gifts to Minors Act account. I'm now 24, and is that really the best place that this money should be sitting? It's in mutual funds within this account, but I know that you're not very happy about those accounts.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm not.
Children.
Just so that we don't confuse people here. When you're young and your parents want to give you money, or you get money somehow, as a minor, you cannot have money in your own name. Which also says to all of you, if you have any life insurance policies out there where you have left a minor child or grandchild as the beneficiary, you have made a huge mistake, because that money has to go into a blocked account, because a minor can't inherit money. So you have two ways to deal with it. It's either in a Uniform Gift to Minors Act account, where your parents are the custodian on that money. So you're not in control of that money right now. They're still in control of that money. But if you have it in that account, it hurts you for financial aid, because it's considered your asset versus your parents' asset. So it counts differently when figuring financial aid. That's why I don't like UGMA accounts. And I also don't like them because even though you have grown up to be a very good-looking and well-adapted, obviously, I hope, human being, you could be standing up here and being Evan the evil. Where you could take that money as soon as you had hit 18 or 21, depending how they had set it up, and you could have bought a BMW, you could have done whatever, and so forth. So if I were you, let's get it out of the Uniform Gift to Minors Act account. Let's get it into your own name. Let's get it working within a Roth IRA for you so that you don't have to pay taxes on it and things like that. That would be a far better thing for you to do, and it would make you feel more like a man, because you still feel like a boy with your bar mitzvah money under the guise of your parents, and you don't want to do that, do you?
No, thank you.
All right, I think we can sneak one more question in here if I don't get trouble. Is there one, sir, right behind you there?
How you doing, Susie? My name is Daryl.
Hi.
I'm here with my girlfriend, Simone.
Simone.
Hi, Simone.
How do you feel about somebody starting their own business in this economy?
Say that again.
How do you feel about starting your own business in this economy?
Do you know what kind of business you want to start?
A retail online business.
A retail online business.
Yes.
Have you done this before?
No.
Do you have working capital money?
Somewhat.
somewhat. All right, in the career class, because I know we have to end here in 3 minutes on time. In the career class, I talk specifically exactly what you should and should not do if you are going to start your own business. You need to not touch any retirement money. You better have at least 1 year working capital behind you. You better know exactly what you're doing. You're asking people to buy things at a time when they have to make a choice with their credit cards, their student loan debt, and things like that. So unless you have other money coming in, I would not count on all of my income coming from a brand new business that I'm starting. I would be continuously to make money and do this on the side and see if it goes.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Susie, one last question here. You were talking about the audience you saw the other night. Is our financial literacy getting better in this country?
I think it is, and I'm going to say mainly because of me.
I was going to give you credit.
And the reason that I think that is that I just don't talk to people who have money. I'm talking to people who have money from all walks of life, no matter where you live. And I'm talking about it in a way that they can understand it and they can relate to it in a little whacked out way. You know, if you make money very formal and everything and it's not whatever, you get bored. Right. But when you hear Miss Orman say, "You are so denied," you love that. So it is getting a little better. Also, truthfully, because I was joking there somewhat, what the kids and everybody saw happen in 2008 opened up the conversation about money for possibly the first time. It forced mommy and daddy to say, "Sorry, kids, we're losing the house, we're losing this, you don't get your Swatch watch." We're talking about money because we don't have any money.
Well, it showed us how much we had to learn.
That's right. And so all of that started the conversation, and the kids in particular, and maybe some of the younger ones in here can say it, you want to be responsible because you don't want to end up like mommy and daddy. Is that correct, many of you? Look at, they're shaking their heads. So lessons come in many ways, but every lesson is always a blessing if you just simply embrace it when it comes to money.
Great advice. Suze Orman, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
And thank you all for being here.